A to point B, and my thought is like, just on getting to the next destination so I can get home or whatever. A lot of Brook. The Brook is stop. I said that before I even connected. It was like when I clicked on it, it just told me that immediately.
Yeah, it just doesn't want to see. It doesn't want you to see anything. Funny thing, my own junk. Usually it works.
Of course it's gonna work for you. So, yeah, so I took it to that spot. She offered to give me something, but I ain't want to spend her freaking money. So then after that, what happened next? Oh,
yep.
So
We'll continue.
Connected, didn't you?
Yeah, connected.
Oh, of course. I'm not surprised.
Like instantly on my phone.
Just like it instantly said it stopped. Yeah, of course. Perfect. So then we reached her house. Oh well. Really? Or was there another stop after that? One more freaking stop we got. When we got to that freaking stop, she wanted. I bought 2 cases of water bottles. One for the house and one's for me. And for some reason, I keep forgetting to bring in one of the cases, so it just stays in the car. But it's supposed to be in the house. She wanted one of the cases. I'm like, I'm not giving you the whole freaking case. I'll give you I'll give you a few bottles though. But she wanted the whole case for her house. I'm like, I'm not really doing that because I bought the case for my house. You know what I'm saying? So we're having this conversation. And then she brought up like Jesus into it. And I don't know why she always does that, because it's like, I'm more knowledgeable about biblical stuff than her. So but then she'll try to like use the Bible to coerce me to freaking join her side of the argument. But then it's like, when I respond with something that is biblical, that is contrary to the statement she'll make, it will turn into like a mini debate that she just want to have. So I'm like, why are you even gonna bring? If you don't like the fact that I could bring up, I don't mind talking about like Bible stuff at all. Like I actually enjoy it. But for her, since her lifestyle is more borderline unbiblical, whatever, it is more like a nuisance to even engage on the subject. So I tone that down tremendously around her. But at the same time, she's gonna bring up Jesus when we're talking about giving her a case of water. So my response, she was like, what would Jesus do if he was here and was having this argument? So I was like, he would probably say, I forgot what I said. Bradley brought up the time when he was talking to that girl at the well, you know that story, and she asked him about water, and he practically said that I give you eternal water because I am everlasting water or whatever. It was something along those lines. So I was like, I practically brought up that, but then I was kind of dumbfounded at the fact that she didn't know that story. I'm like, that is like, doesn't everybody know this? Doesn't everybody know this freaking story? This the Sumerian, the chick that was at the well, her husband just dead or whatever, and she got tired of needing to go to the well to get water. Jesus happened to be at the well. This particular time when she went, she knew about the Savior, but didn't know him. And they got onto the subject matter of water, and she was talking about how she has to keep coming over here to drink water, and he was like, the water I got, well, you'll no longer need to come down to the well to get water. So I practically kind of brought that story up because the subject matter was, what would Jesus do on this subject when we're talking about these waters back? I'm like, he probably said the same thing he said to the Sumerian woman at the well. And she just didn't get that at all. So now I tried to explain it, and that didn't make it any better because she's like, oh, now you're talking about him being at the well with that lady and not being in the car with us. I'm like, but the circumstances is the same though. You need water. She needed water. He gave her a solution. So I'm sure it's almost the same thing, just that there's not a third guy there being me. So that turned into an argument she didn't want to have, which I was fine. But then we finally got to her house, and then what happened? But I do remember she brought up the dude. It's been so long since his name was even mentioned, I already forgot it. I know when I hear it though. And then she was talking about how it came over, they smoked because she's so weedy.
Oh man, you wanna know a similar story that was actually happening yesterday? Well, was it yesterday? No, it was the night before yesterday. No, it was yesterday. It was like yesterday morning. Just a little side note. I received a text from her like at 3 in the morning. Bear in mind, I was passed out. She's like, babe, are you up? And I wake up at 6 in the morning, like, I am now. What's going on? And then she went on with the story with, there's a friend of mine who texted me at 4 in the morning that he wanted to hang out, but he's high. But you were asleep, so I didn't want to go without your permission. Notice the opposites there.
Of course.
Wow.
Oh, that's it. I thought he was going to.
No, it didn't transpire because I mean I don't. It was her old manager that I don't mind her being around with him. Well, I don't really know him, but she said that he's a good guy, so I'll trust her word on that. I don't mind her hanging out with other dudes just as long as they're not troublesome.
No, that's something we don't have in common. I feel like most of her company is troublesome. But
yeah, most of her old company is troublesome, but she rejected a lot of them lately, almost all of them probably. Like I actually sat there and watched on her as she deleted them one by one on her phone.
Hopefully that happens on my end, but I doubt it. But she brought up the dude. I'm like, why is she talking about this? He came back because he has a bowling tournament out here. So while he was out here, he stopped at my house, which caught her totally off guard. Then he confessed his feelings and all this extra crap. And I'm like, see, this is what I don't get. I mean, I get a little tight with the subject. It's like, me and her, we clash on friends and freaking relationships. It's like, she can have a friend with benefits. Me, I don't like that. That's like, it's like being in a fake relationship.
Yeah, that's not a real relationship, and that's being promiscuous.
Exactly. So what ended up happening was when she went through some tragic moments in her life, I wasn't around. I figured she was with her other ex, and I was like, me and him are opposites. I'm like, she's into this type of dude. That's not me.
Wow.
So I'm not going to pursue this person that I like because I'm not her type, or so I thought at the time. But at the same time, I didn't realize that she broke up with him. I didn't know that. And then she met this other guy, which is her current ex, to a certain extent. And he was there for her during this dark time in her life. And then they turned into friends with benefits. Okay. Because they worked together, and then they would be, everybody thought they was a couple, but she would tell me they're not a couple, but they're living together and smashing. I'm like, are you freaking serious? But anyways, I let her continue with the freaking story over it. So he has some anger issues that she didn't really tell me about. She kind of kept me in the dark on that till whenever the hell this moment transpired. But anyways, she did something that was so devastating to her that she left him. And then she hasn't spoken to him since prior to this encounter. But while they were together as friends, because he lives close to the city, so it's like she doesn't. So it's like when she's not living with him, he's with other girls, and like I'm like, so you have these rules where it's like he can be with you, but if you smash someone else, he has to use a con. I'm like, so do you consider the fact that this dude is like you're just another number to this dude? Like I'm like, do you think you have special rights over the rest of his harem that you never see? There was a time when she needed him. He wasn't there, and when she finally got to the place, she found like a pregnancy test on the floor and crap. I'm like, so obviously he's not doing what you want with the condom situation. Whoever these other girls are, you know about them, you've seen them. Like, but I ain't really saying all this stuff, like arguing on the subject. But she left, and then he came back. He confessed his love to her. They smoked together. And
Wow.
then, she was confused about that, though. She said that when he said all of that, she started laughing because she didn't know how to process it. But then what she did like that he said was her biggest problem with him is that he lost his way with God. It's like there was a time in the past when she used to talk about it's gonna be hard for me to talk and play at the same time. So if I lose my train of thought, I'm sorry, but
Oh, you're good. I'm in combat myself, but my combat is not as intensive as yours.
wow, I mentioned Michael and where on his man. So there was a time in the past when we were dating where she used to talk about my pros and his pros, and practically compare and contrast us and all this type of stuff practically, to the point where it was like, it's the freaking, it's either the hillbilly or the cannibal. Jesus Christ. And the thing she liked about me practically was I was like Christian, I was the good guy, I wasn't thuggish and all this extra type of crap, and apparently I treated her, I guess you can say, too good to a certain extent, in ways that was different from like her exes or whatever. So I'm like,
same thing with my situation, but she accepted it.
and for her it was kind of scary at times because she wasn't used to, I guess, true love or whatever.
Same thing from my situation. But she accepted it. Well, for my case, her fear was more of anger. Wasn't towards me though.
It wasn't real or whatever. Like she wasn't used to being genuinely cared for beyond like thoughtish type behavior or whatever. I'm like, are you fucking serious? But then when she got to him, it was the fact that they have a lot in common. She can smoke around me. She can't smoke. She has to go outside. With him, she can smoke. With me, oh no. He saw me. Is this the cannibal with a suit on? Wow. So stuff like that. Her family is like a harem of bowling deities, apparently. Like her lineage in bowling is so legendary. Everybody expects her to be legendary because she's the daughter of Grand Sox, also whoever the hell, you know what I'm saying? and then there's like the other dude. He's a bowling freak competitor, professional or whatever, trying to be a top tier bowler. So it's like that lines up the family, and with their relationship, she tried to introduce him to grandparents and all this type of stuff for their blessing, and it was mostly because of the weed, the bowling, and the sex. It was like the sex was god tier, and then everything she liked, also likes they have everything in common. So it was like, wow, that was sad. So it was like, they were like, it was like she viewed him as being a meal with her, with how similar they were. Me and her, it was like opposites, but it was like he didn't have any like Christian values and stuff like that I had. So it was like certain feelings that she got from me she didn't get from him, but then it was like lifestyle wise and sex wise she liked what she got from him that she didn't get from me. So it was like she's stuck in the middle where it was like she would always say we can fuse together like goatings. You dick! Wow. I can't stand the cannibal, man. I'm about to derank because of this. So it was like she would always say if we could fuse together, we would be like the quote unquote perfect dude. Because she would get treated good the way I treat her. He would have the Christian values and all that type of stuff, but I would also be a bowler that smoked, and then I would have his sexual performance on top. So it would be like the perfect nigga. But since we're separate, it's like she's stuck in the middle where she has to choose one or the other, because it's like I have pros for his cons and he has pros for my cons. So it's like, what pros do I take and what cons am I willing to accept? And she would be in a position where it was like she couldn't make the choice, so she would want us to make the choice for her, and then we would all, both of us would say it's not our choice to make, because who makes you happy? We would both give her answers such as that, like, do I make you happier than him, or does he make you happier than me? Whoever makes you feel better, pick that person. And she wanted us to practically fight to prove our like.
Oh, that's not healthy at all. That just.
I don't mean fist fight though. I mean.
Yeah, I know, but if she's really encouraging Yatsu to literally fight for whose love is stronger, who's worthy for her, I feel like that's not even worth it.
Exactly. Which is why we gave the answer we gave. And
oh, both of y'all gave the answer?
Both of us gave that answer. Yeah, so
she got denied by mom.
Because it's like he's trying to get his life together with his bowling career, which involves a lot of drama. And I'm trying to get my art career together, which is more. Damn it, he died after I ran all the way over here.